Okay, this is Jord_Hughes92 on Instagram. Best way to warm up properly for a fight. Now, yeah. So we're gonna get a lot of these, but so let's just break this down, right? So I run the sparring warm-ups at ATT, and I just basically take a general approach going into specifics. So we start with a general movement, and then we go into the specific movement patterns that have the highest correlation into what they're going to be doing. So you can go off of my mid to fast dynamic warm up, looking at things like the base support system, working through the kinetic chain, ankles, knees, hips, core, shoulders, things like that. Then from there, you start working on multi-directional movement patterns. So like something like a side shuffle, karaoke, quick hops, quick skips, bounds, things like that to get the body moving, right? Increasing motor unit recruitment, things like that. And then after that, then we start working in those specific movement patterns, like taking your penetration shots, front rolling, back rolling, hip escapes, things like that of that nature, so that the body can get used to those specific demands that are going to be going on inside the sport. Now, if you're talking about a true fight, there's many different things that are going to go on with that, right? I use a form of RPR, which is reflexive performance reset, just to stimulate the nervous system. So it's using palpations, right? Oh, there goes my son.
Here he is.
There he is. All right. I love you too, boy. Go lay down, all right?
What a little rock star.
Yeah, right. So with that, we use a form of RPR just to get, turn on the nervous system, right? Or basically what JL says is flick the lights on, right? So we flick the lights on, and then we start moving the body. Now, you can utilize a form of FRC, doing some controlled articular rotations of each joint capsule to help the body understand movement quality and just to wake up the joints in general, have them move like true joints. Then from there, have them work through some general movement, right? Some high knees, butt kicks, A-skips, things like that. And then start to work in your pad work, start to do some light grappling, and then do some techniques and some drills that have the highest tactical correlation over to the game plan of what you're going to be doing when you start the fight. Does that make sense, Matt?
It does. It's good. My question on that is, there's 1,000 different ways to skin this cat. And I think you truly have like a masterful touch on putting all these different progressions together for a warm-up and, pre-workout stuff especially, but pre-fight, how do you individualize all this stuff? How much of your energy and resources do you dedicate to the actual warm-up before a fight? Because you've got things like the adrenal factors to consider, and you don't want guys burning out or, spending too much energy and all that kind of shit before the fight.
Yeah, here's the thing, like if they're in shape, they're not going to burn out. A lot of times, if they're in shape, which they should be if they're going to go into a fight, there's not a whole lot of things you can do to them to get them tired. Honestly, I do want their heart rate to get up right below lactate threshold. I do want them to get a good solid sweat going, because that's going to excite the nervous system. Right? That's going to get them ready for what they have to go through, because in general, when you close that cage door, it's 90% mental. So if I can already put you in that state of mind or that frame from a physiological perspective, not tire them out to where like, okay, they're done, but to just get that excitement ready to go, so it's not a new environment once they step and close that door, because I know how that shit feels. And if you're cold, if you go in there without a sweat, right, it feels different. It feels very like claustrophobic, like you feel like the world's coming down on you. So you don't want to have that. You want to have things already set in your mind, and you want your body to kind of go through this certain situation that you're actually going to feel. It's like getting punched in the face for the first time. The first punch, once the first punch lands, all right, or if you get touched or kicked, then the fight starts, because now it's, oh, okay, I'm good now, right? But you kind of want to get to that point way before that actually happens.
Yeah.
Right? Before you go to walk out that tunnel. So if you can get your mind and your body in that physical condition, not to where you're obviously tired, but to where you're in a state of mind that that's not going to be a new environment once you close that cage door, you're going to be in a good position to just go out there and handle business.
Sure. And I mean, I guess where I was heading with that was, not so much from a conditioning standpoint, more from an adrenal standpoint, especially for amateurs, when they're still new to the bright lights and the big crowds and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I've seen plenty of amateurs freak themselves out, the anxiety and the adrenal factors become a real thing, and they gas out a lot quicker than what you would expect they should as their strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, I mean, again, that goes back to having to be well prepared for the fight too, as well.
And experience.
So no matter what it is, like there's always going to be, especially new fighters, regional scene kids and amateurs and things like that. There's always going to be nerves. There's always going to be anxiety, and you talk about adrenal, with that being said, like you should be put in that position inside of practice first and foremost, right? If you're a new fighter, your coach needs, and that comes from the skills coaches and a little bit from the physical preparation coach, but you should be put in that position well before the fight even starts. You see, so when you're talking about preparation or you're talking about a warm-up, where you can get really deep into this, like basically, this wormhole of like, okay, what do we do? Like, do we get them to a point where they feel physically exhausted, or we want to worry about their adrenal fatigue, or whatever the case may be? As long as you understand the fighter and their mindset, it shouldn't be an issue. It is, again, like you say, we always say it is subjective per individual. So, you have to know the fighter, you have to know their state of being, you have to know their experience, and then you also have to know what type of person they are, right? Or what type of, where their neurotransmitter dominance is from. Are they dopamine dominant, acetylcholine dominant? Like, do they like to relax before the fight, or do they like to hype themselves up? These types of things do come into play, but that comes from the assessment, 8 weeks prior. You see what I'm saying? So you should already have a really sought out, way of understanding your athlete before that even starts. If you're just beginning to understand that, it's way too late, and just let them handle what they need to handle mentally, because by that time it's too late anyways.